Thanks everybody for coming to NACHI TV. My name is Ben Gromicko. I'm from NACHI, and I host NACHI TV, where we have free live webinars. They're interactive, but they're also video recorded. So you can watch this. Maybe you're watching this right now on YouTube. Today, we have a special guest. How do you get to the special guest and register for a webinar? Well, you go to NACHI TV, NACHI.TV, and you click the big register for free button. And we have a bunch of upcoming live webinars, and they're free and they're open to everybody. You can be a member of NACHI, you don't have to be a member of NACHI, it's okay. And today we have a really good topic with a special guest. We have Nathan Thornberry, how to destroy, it's all caps, complaints. And we'll talk to Nathan. Nathan is the CEO of Residential Warranty Services. We're going to talk about a broad range of topics, including how to reduce liability and handling complaints. And actually, I was talking to an inspector this morning. We have a lot of inspectors who visit the House of Horrors in Boulder, Colorado. And it was actually Ray, so I'm going to share his name because he said I could. And Ray has a complaint. He received the letter through the mail, and he wants to know what my advice for him would be. And so we were talking about today's webinar, and he actually is a client of Residential Warranty Services. He has the premium package, and maybe Nathan can talk about that. And also he is a buyback guarantee participant. So NACHI has a buyback guarantee. We'll buy the home back if your client has a problem. And he has all this stuff. I asked him, why do you have all these things? Why do you enroll in the buyback program and residential warranty services and all that other stuff? And he says, so I don't have to worry about anything. So that's kind of like one of the benefits, I guess. That's what I've always done in my business. I always wanted to just have a lot of fun doing inspections and not have to really worry about complaints. And that's what we're going to talk to Nathan today about. So let me give control to Nathan of the webinar. If I can do it on my side. I'm usually pretty good at this. So Nathan, are you there?
I am here and ready to talk about Ray and his situation. And it's not an unusual situation, unfortunately. It's not uncommon that inspectors get complaints. And we're going to talk today about every type of complaint, every level of severity. And we're going to put it in the context of what I call the complaint funnel. And we'll talk about the buyback guarantee, and we'll talk about your videos. Actually, I had that on my list of things to talk about as well. And I'd like to jump right in, but
Sure.
Before I do, Ray, I don't hide, man. I'm on social media. Just search my name. You'll find everything colorful. But you can always email me, Nathan@nathan.tv. And if you're one of 5,700 plus home inspectors out there that have any of our packages of warranties, and you get the complaint, whether it's a minor complaint, whether it's just a PR issue, whether it's a legal issue, and we'll talk about all of them here today on a high level, send me a note. We have a team that deal with this. We have the largest legal staff in the industry. We have the largest claims and complaints staff in the industry. We have people that review things with us every single day, and I'll talk a little bit about some of those folks. But let's start with this funnel to see where Ray and where any complaint you might be dealing with or might deal with in the future is. So let's start at the top of this funnel. Of the way that you get rid of complaints. And I know I have the Priority Lab, Inspector Lab report on the screen. Don't worry about that for the moment. I'll throw some other stuff on there. But everything starts with one thing, right? It's a good home inspection, and a good home inspection starts with good knowledge. So little known fact, we have the largest home inspection call center in the industry by number of accounts that we answer for. We have nearly 100 people in our call center. And you know what they're required to do, Ben? This is a very interesting, fun fact for people. When I hire somebody in a call center, they might make 15 bucks an hour, or whatever. They might be 20 years old. They might live in an apartment. They may have never experienced a home inspection. So there's two things that we make them do. We make them go online. We have accounts We make them watch the NACHI online videos first, just kind of the basics. What is a home inspection? That sort of thing. A lot of them starring you. Then we make them go as well and watch some of the videos that are free over at homeinspectionuniversity.com as well. And those are free for everybody, just like NACHI members get, NACHI stuff for free there. And we found the combination is amazing. And if you're looking to have the best experience for your clients, it would, start with you being a good inspector, and raise a good inspector, of course. But, let's talk about one other thing that contributes to that, and that would be live classes. I mean, it's cool to watch us on video, and we do an okay job when we're online. I certainly have been doing it for a long time, and you as well. But go to a conference. This September, we have a conference in Vegas, and I threw the schedule up on the board. You can see this at inspectionsuperconference.com. We have technical classes that you wouldn't necessarily think to go to, but we schedule them for a reason. We see the complaints. We're dealing with 150,000 plus policies per month here. We're dealing with between 15 and 20% of everything that happens in the industry comes through headquarters here. So we know the things that are hot buttons. We know the things that are hitting you in the face. And Alan Carson, as an example, is doing a course on slate roofing. And then I believe I actually had him come back as well for water heaters. I know it sounds like a basic concept, but there's a few things to know, and water heaters have changed more than furnaces and air conditioners. They've changed over the last 20 years, and some of you need to brush up on that. So always be educating yourself. That's the first part of the funnel. Have the best inspection report, have note all the defects that are within and maybe a little bit beyond the standards of practice. That's where it starts. And then we get to the second part of destroying complaints, which means maybe not having as many in the first place. And that would be offering more services. This is the second best way to get rid of complaints. So if you're an NACHI member, or you have access to the internet and you go to Home Inspection University, or you go to Vegas and you see we have advanced pool inspections with John Bolton, learn how to do pool inspections, learn how to do mold and environmental testing. The inspectors that don't get complaints and don't get sued for mold all have one thing in common. They offer mold testing. And if you go to inspectorlab.com, I have a piece here that I want to show you, because you can go online and you can customize this mold menu, because it's not just enough to offer mold testing and just to have it on your menu. You need to have it as something that's presented to the client. So we created this thing for you on site or an email. You can present it to the client and say, hey, you see that thing that might concern you a little bit, we can do a surface test. Gosh, you smell something musty, or you have a kid that's predisposed with asthma conditions and whatnot, we can do an indoor air quality test. And then maybe I, as the inspector, have gone through an assessor's course, feel like I have advanced education in mold testing. Maybe I do indoor air quality testing with a full mold evaluation, assessment protocols, and all that sort of thing. I can add that as an option too. But if you offer it and they turn it down, that is a reason why they won't call you when they have a problem later in the first place. And it's a great defense too. And same thing goes for outsourcing of items. Like, let's just say that you don't want to deal with a lot of poo. I particularly don't like poo, from other people, or really my own poo. I mean, nobody likes poo, but some inspectors, they offer sewer line inspections. And guess what? They have less problems with inspectors coming back to them on sewer line problems. So either do it yourself or figure out how to outsource it. And you should outsource and offer, add to your list of services, things like elevators and handicap accessibility stuff. I had an inspector, great big inspector, probably one of the top 25 inspectors in the country by volume, call me just last month. Everybody's getting sued over an elevator that was a handicap elevator up to a patio in a backyard in Florida. Of course, it's Florida where everything happens. But if he had that as something that he offered and they turned it down, that would be a reason they might not call him into the situation. Now, on to the third part. The third thing you can do, the third best thing you can do to get rid of any sort of problem is add to your professionalism. And I'm going to show somebody a page. If you go to inspectorshop.net and you go to the print design, click there and go through all the stuff that we offer. There are many pages of it. There's examples when you go to a particular line item, like these leave behind cards, for instance. You can take a quick look at that and see different examples of leave behind cards. Steal the ideas. Go to NACHI Inspector Outlet and have them design it if you want to. We work with them every day. They have all our logos if you're a client of ours, and hopefully you will be someday if you're not. But you need to have everything looking good, from your uniform to your truck. I'm starting to really warm up to the idea of wrapping your trucks, to what you leave behind, to what your inspection report looks like. Everything needs to be on a 10 out of 10 on professionalism. 20 years ago was the last time we should have seen, kind of the crappy brochures that just said why to get a home inspection in black and white. Let's bring it to a much higher level. If you don't have a logo, get one from me, get one from NACHI, and put round logos on this stuff. And why do I say this? Why is this level of professionalism so important? It's because most of your complaints, most of them are from a contractor coming into a situation. And, maybe it's something you missed. Maybe it's something that's outside the SOP. Maybe it's something that has failed. That would be a warranty claim, often is the case. But regardless of what the reasoning is, today the problem that the client has is that a contractor came into their house and said, I need to pay for my kids' college. And so you have a $30,000 problem, or you have a $10,000 problem, or your inspector should have told you you needed all new HVAC equipment for $6,000 to $10,000. And the reason they get away with it, and the reason then the client comes back to inspectors often, is because the HVAC guy showed up in a giant truck that was well branded. He's got the logos on his shirt. He's got his uniform. He smells good. These guys spray cologne on themselves before they go into the house. Like, literally, they are taught in these HVAC mastermind groups how to do this. And when they come in, they have incredible amounts of credibility. And then you don't. Like, you were just there looking at the furnace. Like, yeah, that guy didn't know what he was doing, clearly. Did you see his truck? It's not something that the guy has to say. It's the perceptive reality for the client. So you want to have this professionalism. And here's another thing with that level of professionalism. You want your website. And, Nick and I brought this up on the marketing tour years ago in 45 different cities. You want a website that has so much credibility, so many, logos and qualifications, such a resume that people don't even read it, they just weigh it. And you want the, everything you do to be on that level. Now, there's another part of that professionalism that I'll get into later, and it has to do with answering your phones. But that's not in the first three. We're going on to number 4. Now we need to understand why complaints happen so that we don't have an improper reaction. So again, education, knowledge, and inspection. And then what you offer. If you're not offering mold, you should not be running your own business. Honestly, the numbers speak for themselves. The stats are there. Mold testing is so cheap, and heck, it's free for a while with Inspector Lab. So sign up, because you're going to make more money. You're going to reduce your liability. You have more money to write checks, which is one of the later steps. But let's understand why these complaints happen. And again, we handle 150,000 plus policies per month through our system of all different kinds, whether it's 1-year policies that we sell at closing through the real estate transaction, 5-year roof leak protection claims, all of that. I have over 300,000 claims under my belt in the last 20 years, and almost none of them have had anything to do with the inspector really missing something. It happens, but almost none of them have anything to do with the inspector missing something if we were to go purely by the standards of practice, whether it be a licensed state standard of practice or the NACHI standard of practice. So when you get a complaint, the very first thing you need to do, did I miss something?
No. So what are the complaints about if it's not about missing something?
Well, it's about a cost to the client. I mean, pure and simple. You can't take it personal, because their reality is they have a contractor telling them that they need to spend $5,000, and their expectation was that they would not have to spend that $5,000 when they signed on the dotted line and closed on the house. So, the idea and in the defense to this for most inspectors is to take it personally in one way or another and go to, one of the four biggest kind of, bullcrap things in our industry that we tell ourselves. The first one is when somebody calls you, don't take responsibility. We hear this from, our amateur lawyer inspector friends, and they say, oh, if you take responsibility, in any way, you're gonna really screw yourself. And it's never really been a defense or a reason why somebody took anything further. The second thing is that, they might use their contract language to defend it. And, we see the issues that go to court, and we see the issues that go to E&O companies. The contract is incredibly inert when it comes to defending these claims. Again, this is just about somebody has a problem. What was the cause? What was the proximate cause? Here's another, kind of bullcrap thing is that you have to tell your E&O insurer the minute somebody sneezes. It's not true. I'll get into more of that later, but you don't have to tell them about every damn issue, and you don't have to make everything like it's a legal case. And the last of the bullcrap that we tell ourselves is that you need to set expectations. Newsflash: there are 350 million Americans out there. At least 300 million of them are legally citizens. And out of those, you have about 1 in 7 families in houses that will move, creating around 6 million real estate transactions. You could lump every bit of money from every inspector, all of their primary family members, every vendor, everybody into a pot and spend it on marketing to change the expectations of consumers. It wouldn't change anything. So don't focus on that. Instead, let's focus on the response to a complaint when we get it, because this is really just about, drawing the card. Today they drew the card that said that they were going to have a $5,000 issue. So now we talk about responding to complaints. Ideally, and this is where the professionalism continues, you don't answer your own phones. If you are in the inspection business and you are running a business, you shouldn't be the one that answers your phones, because immediately you're at a disadvantage if somebody's calling you with a problem. You've lost all credibility. You can't use your position as CEO, as the general manager, or whatever you call yourself, to be the commander in chief of other people and come in and solve a problem and play good cop, bad cop. It just doesn't work. Ideally, also in responding to complaints, you can identify things that broke after the inspection very quickly and say, yeah, I have a warranty for that. Did you call in a claim? Yes or no? Okay, the answer was no. Call in a claim, it's covered. That's the best magical answer to everything is, I have a problem today, here's a check, damage is gone. But last and certainly not least is you need to either have a system or develop a system for processing anything that comes your way. And systems are really important. And let me tell you why. If you go to Disney World and you are in line to meet Mickey or Minnie or whoever, you'll notice that there are people that have come a long way. They've spent $200 for the day to have their kids go to a park and really not have any good rides or anything like that. But they're willing to spend that 2 hours in line to meet Minnie because there are ropes on each side, and here's the process. So you got to put people through a process. They understand process. And I'm not saying to make it as bad as Disney World, but I'm going to put on the screen right now a process. And I'm encouraging you to either use this process existing or create a process for yourself. And it can be a process that you take on an intake basis, but you need to ask certain questions. And I'm going to tell you why. First thing you do is get their information, obviously. But the second thing you do is you ask them, when did you first notice the issue? This is the very first question you ask any complaint, because that's going to tell them a lot, and it's going to tell you a lot. Was it noticed at a walkthrough or not? Was it apparent at that walkthrough? Did you already consult a contractor or not? Some people call with just their own issues, and maybe it was a buddy that told them they had a big issue. Then a really big one, and if you're an inspector and you don't understand the way that home warranties play into the real estate transaction, You need to understand this right now, because we're talking 80+% of all real estate transactions are including a home warranty from either myself or American Home Shield or 210 or HWA, etc. And if they have a home warranty and they've called in a claim, the way the warranty company is handling that claim plays into how much of a complaint they're creating for the inspector. And there's some crossover there. So you want to understand those policies and how they work. But the first part is to know whether they have a policy and whether they've made a claim. Here's another interesting question that we've started asking everyone, because, well, we've learned our lessons many times over. Do you occupy the dwelling? Because if they don't occupy it, it might be under construction. That means they're taking down walls. They're exposing things that, you would have had no chance to see. And as soon as you point that out to them, they might, become reasonable. You're giving, with all these questions, you're giving them a reason to be reasonable today and to come up with the resolution that works for all. You want to know if the home was ever bank owned and if it was sold as is. Why do we want to know if it was sold as is? Because you noted stuff at inspection. You noted stuff that might have required further evaluation. And what the seller was asked to do as a part of the inspection contingency, which is done in almost every part of the US and Canada as part of the real estate transaction, with very few exceptions, that matters. Did the buyer's agent say, in response to the you have a heat exchanger with rusting and scaling, needs further evaluation, was the response to have the unit cleaned and tuned, or was the response to have it fully evaluated by a licensed HVAC technician? The answer to that is very crucial if somebody's complaining about an HVAC problem. Another thing that comes into play is whether it was disclosed by the seller. Having a copy of that seller's disclosure on hand and reviewing it with the client, we're kind of in reverse, because we don't have an opportunity to really set expectations. That's a myth. We don't have any real opportunity to be involved in, nor would it be viable to be involved in the negotiations around the inspection contingency. So we kind of have to do, some investigation afterwards and, understand what happened. And then the other thing we want pictures. Whether you're on site or you're asking your client for it, give them a place to upload pictures and upload, invoices, quotes, etc., so that you can then go over all of that. That is a really, really important part of all of this, is just understand the issue fully. Many inspectors get into trouble because they respond so quick. They're defensive, one, and then they respond before they have the full picture. Now, if you have an intake form like the one I just showed you, let me give you some stats on that. We have around 300 inspectors now that use that form on their websites. We call it a technical support form. And the way that works is it just becomes a part of their website. And if a client calls in with a problem, they talk to their office, they talk to the inspector, they refer them to that link. And then they fill out the form, and some of them go away. About 30% at that point will go away immediately, and another half will go away with a few questions. I'm going to pause my my video here just because I don't see myself moving. So one moment here.
Let me take a look.
All right, I was just frozen up for a second. Did you get everything
Okay.
I said?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, then, as long as you're getting it, I am good. So the last part, after you go through this intake form and you say, hey, look, 30% of these things can go away as soon as you start asking questions. Another half of what's remaining go away when you come back with a clarifying question, like, hey, the seller's disclosure said something about this. Did you look into it any further, etc. Another half of these issues are going to go away then. Then you get to the point of a resolution. And this is where, if you really want to get rid of complaints and invest in your business in a meaningful way, it would be to write the damn check. Whether it's the warranty company, like we do with our policies, we write these checks every day. And we have packages that are cheap as free. We have the most expensive package we have is $25, and it has, a $25,000 coverage limit per inspection. But there's really no better response than this is covered. With a warranty claim, there's really no negative. It's just positive. With an inspection complaint where you're being on the other side of the issue. The only position the client can take if you don't have a warranty in place is you missed this, and that has an implied negative, of course, but how you handle it matters. So if as a part of that process you go through this and say, gosh, that was a miss, that was something that was unfortunate, I'm going to write a check, and I'm going to write a check that makes sense to the both of us here. You're going to be rewarded in the marketplace for that, and you're going to be rewarded in business that this doesn't go on to being a legal issue or being an E&O issue all the time. Now, what if the issue is too expensive? Let's say that you have an attorney that's hot. You have every indication that this is going to go legal, or that it should be an E&O claim, or that it's just too massive of a problem for you. Well, you need to identify those very early on and get them onto your E&O company. But for the other ones, you want to go through a 4-part process once you have all of the information. The first part is the diagnosis accurate? The second part is the prognosis or the fix accurate? And does it indemnify the client? Does it just make them whole from where they were? Or is a contractor selling them something that is, way beyond an improvement? So let's knock it down to the indemnity. Then the third part is the price reasonable? And, as people in the industry, I think we have a pretty good idea of what the price, could be or should be. So, you might get involved in that process, send out a contractor, and then the fourth part is to determine, whether there's any fault from you, whether there's ever any coverage under a warranty. Sometimes on complaints, we'll find that it's really a homeowner's insurance claim and they need to make a claim there. So it's really identifying these things and helping the client. And if you think of complaints as another level of service in your business, you're going to have a much better time figuring everything out and having a good business model around those, and not stressing yourself too. So that's pretty much what I got from how to handle complaints. Did Ray happen to give any details about his particular situation there, Ben?
It was a mold issue. So there wasn't any mold in the crawl space. He was not performing a mold inspection. He does offer the service, and he wasn't able to see the property afterwards. One of the things that we discussed was try to revisit the property. And a lot of inspectors say that if they show up to the property after somebody complains and they come to the property and take a look, in the back of their heads, they don't want it to look really bad. And that's actually a mistake. You actually want it to look terrible. You want to come to that property and go, holy cow, look at that, from like 10 feet away. You want this thing on fire, you want it leaking, you want things exploding and sparking. You want it to be so bad when you visit. Revisiting a property is fantastic, especially if it's just in terrible shape. Why? Because things change, and that would be proof that the condition of the home changed completely after the inspection. So that's the advice.
Take. One of my notes to make sure to mention today is, like, on this intake form, on this technical support stuff, we can handle 99% of everything, but there's that 1% that's outlying that isn't E&O level, isn't legal level kind of stuff that it is worthwhile to go out and see. I mean, the first thing is anybody who tells you not to go out and visit the property, unless there is a clear legal threat, unless there is something that you really shouldn't be there for because of some legal reason that's more specific than just, generally don't go there. You should go out there, and you should bring a contractor that you know and trust, and get their take on it. It's just a level of service. Now I can't say that I've ever promoted the idea. I see the logic. I can't say I've ever promoted the idea of, comparing an issue to the house being on fire or being incredibly severe, because I would say that could come in handy in the right scenario. I would say most scenarios are where the contractor has already told them, hey, your house is on fire, and we got to tell them, no, there's just a little bit of smoldering over there. He's overblown the issue. It's not a $5,000 issue, it's a $1,000 issue. Let me get my guy out here to do that for you. And by the way, I'll refund your inspection fee for your trouble. How does that sound? And they say, wow, this is the greatest experience we've had in home inspection ever.
Cool.
But I see the logic. It's interesting.
So Fred asks, Nathan, is this intake form part of the top program?
It is a part of the top program. So let me just tell you what that means. For $350 a month, we answer your phones part-time. So just when you're not available, or full-time if you want us to be your office. We have the intake form. That intake form then sends notification to you, the inspector. It sends it to me. It sends it to our special escalations team, which now has 3 people in it, Lane Clegg, Samantha Vance, and Phil, who we'll be announcing soon. And it also sends it to Mike Casey, formerly of Casey O'Malley Associates, now handles this and is our Director of Education for Home Inspection University. And the way it works is the complaint or technical support request or whatever comes to all of us, and very quickly my team can go, that's a warranty issue. We're just going to write a check. Let's just get rid of this for the inspector. And that happens a fair amount of the time. The other ones that are like complaints about the inspector or the inspection process go to the inspector first, and he has the option of either responding to it directly to the client, giving our team some information so that we can respond to it. We're pretty damn good at it. We've handled over 10,000 complaints just through that system in the last couple of years. Then he can also ignore it completely. And if it goes for 48 hours without a response from you, the inspector, maybe you're on a cruise ship, maybe you're on a beach, maybe, I don't know, whatever you do in your life, you're not there. So we're going to respond to make sure that the client has a response. Sometimes we'll punt those and kind of ask clarifying questions if we really need your input and we can't get with you. But usually we just handle the issue. And most all of our people authorize us to handle warranty claims, of course, if we're writing the check. But they'll authorize us to offer the inspection feedback, and anything beyond that we need to discuss with them.
I think your form is hot. Dale Sanchez asks, is the form available? Is this intake form available? If so, where? I mean, you should be like providing it or selling it or something. Just the form.
Well, we do sell it. You know, I would say join top. I mean, go to inspectionsuccess.net/top and sign up for the free trial. You know, and do the free trial. And if you love the form and you love the way that we're working it, and you know you see the value in that, then continue with it. And if you don't, then you know take hints from the form, modify it for your purposes, and build it out on on Google Docs. You know, I don't hold any trademark or copyright to good customer service. If it's going to help an inspector that I haven't met yet to reduce his complaints and reduce his liability, you know, that's a good thing. But moreover, I hope it gives inspectors the idea that we should be selling something more than just an inspection. You know, we're not there to test a few outlets, look at a few windows, and leave and say, gosh, whatever the condition was, that's it. You know, screw you. Don't call me again, client. No, we should have policies that cover things that break. We should be more useful to the real estate transaction. And that's why our clients do double to triple the average number of inspections per year of the average in the industry, and do it for a higher fee on average. You know, the truth is there. You just, follow in the right footsteps and try it for a month or two. And if it really doesn't work, then, send me an email to nathan@nathan.tv and tell me how much it didn't work. In fact, don't even go to a website. Just send me an email. I'll take care of it.
Cool. That's great, Nathan. Hey, so there's your, I'm putting your website up. It's in inspectionsuccess.net. So I don't have any more questions from the attendees, but I have a question for you. What is the exclusive discount special offer for NACHI members?
So if you go to, there's so many, the problem is that Nick is very convincing, and as he would say, by the way, you're sounding more and more like Nick every day. I do an okay Nick. I can turn into him if you'd like me to for the webinar. But we do a 10 free lab fees at Inspector Lab for NACHI members, And you can
Nice.
go to inspectionsuccess.net and just fill out the form and get all of this, by the way. We do 3 months on the top program. We do 3 months on call center. We'll do a call center trial for free. We'll actually answer your phones, book inspections, and charge you nothing. We did just last month alone, we booked something like 350,000 in actual inspections on the books for inspectors as part of free trials. That's $250,000 in free trial stuff. And we do the same thing with the warranties and recall check and everything else. We do a 6-month free trial on that. If you email me at nathan@nathan.tv.
Can you hold it up? There it is. All right. Any last thoughts, Nathan? We really appreciate you coming by and talking to everybody on NACHI TV.
I have a last thought. I
Yeah.
promised to include something, and I just realized I neglected to do it. Like I said earlier, Inspector Outlet and Inspector Shop work together a lot. We have all the InterNACHI logos ready to go for InterNACHI members, and InterNACHI members that use recall check and 90-day warranty and these things. If they go to Inspector Outlet, they have all of our stuff as well. So we're probably the first or second, probably second, on number of prints of that logo right there, that buyback guarantee. But there is one thing we are absolutely first in. We are the #1 buyer of buyback guarantees. And let me tell you how that comes about. If you're a recall check 90-day warranty user and you want automatic submissions for your buyback guarantees, we do that. We do it as a service. We do it as a pass-through. And once a month, Nick and Lisa run my credit card for an obscene amount of money. And the reason why inspectors do that is in this funnel that goes all the way down to E&O claim and legal, somewhere right before E&O claim, I think is where I would put the buyback guarantee if you use that in your business. And let me tell you why I don't put it sooner. And I'm happy to debate this point with you, Ben. I think that when a customer calls, if you can say, yeah, that's covered by a warranty, that's like the perfect answer right there. Like, yeah, here's your check. And I think that should come out of your mouth more often. Then there comes the sympathy role and getting all the information and going out to the property and, being the service level guy. I think sometime after that, when the person is going, off the rails, you say, well, if you don't like it and you really don't like it, do you still have your moving boxes? Because my buddy Nick will buy the house, and I think that it's a good backstop before all of this other nonsense. And I think for that reason, E&O insurers particularly, which most all of them endorse and promote our warranties, I think they should start to promote maybe second to that, the buyback guarantee. Your thoughts, Ben, and we can debate the hell out of
it. Well, how about we have a little debate on a stage somewhere, maybe in the future at a convention or an event.
Sweet.
So we can go. Sure, that'd be great for me.
Awesome.
I think let's see. Ian has a question. I'll give one more question, then I think we've got to go.
Okay.
He's asking, what is the buyback guarantee for inspectors? Ian, I'll talk to you later. Nathan, again, it's an honor. Thank you for coming and sharing your time. I know you're a busy fella. You got all those businesses. Thanks for making the inspection industry really interesting with all your products and services, and for being vocal and for being a lot of fun. I appreciate you coming to the convention as well. It was really great to have so many of the best vendors, and one of them being you. So thank you very much for taking some time and talk to us. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Anytime. Thank you, Ben.
All right. Bye, everybody. Bye.